Thank you for inviting me. And I'm so glad I'm following the last discussion, because what I wanted to focus on today was kind of opening the apertures that they've been saying these days to what is the complexity of that First Amendment and the rise of religious nationalism around the globe and the post-colonial reaction to sort of the Christian template being imprinted, and how I think that that is really a big issue that we have to start learning how to discuss. And I think that we need to sort of create institutions that help us discuss that. I mean, you were talking the very first one about the complexity of syncretized religion and the way that, cultures, particularly in that area of the world, had sort of oppression and had to put their culture underneath another culture, and maybe the stress that that causes even within an individual, and to have somebody who understands that. So what I just want to focus on today is actually not a presentation, but trying to shed a light on the complexity of these issues, because they're both individual cases and they're also in our schools, but they're also global as we come together in this complexity. So to make it really quick, as far as theory goes, we as human beings organize ourselves into hierarchies. And I like to say we do pyramids. We have to have organization, or we have chaos. And so in this pyramid, we tend to put layers, and we have people go to the top and they create the structures and the policies. And then these pyramids change as our conditions change. And, as Karl Marx said, we get to a dialectic of those in one pyramid want to keep it, and then maybe the people that are neglected or oppressed by that pyramid want to change it. And religion has always had a dual function, or maybe multiple functions, of both keeping the established pyramid intact and being sort of a facilitator of that, and at the same time being on the bottom, flipping and changing in the question of justice, the oppressive qualities or the necessary changes that have to happen. And so I think what's going on now is that we really need to understand how complex this dynamic is. And the first thing I think that we need to understand is that religion is not monolithic. And that is that there are variations of every religious tradition. As Gandhi said, there actually are as many religions as there are people. And to our first speaker's point, we have to really understand the religion of the person or the group. I do direct an Interfaith Center, and we do have multiple groups, and each of them is a version or interpretation of the tradition that they represent. But what I really appreciate about where I am is that there's just a common respect, and we live in a democracy which has the First Amendment, in which we have a set of laws and protections that allows each faith group or each 12-step group to come and dialogue. So when we get these pyramids, we have this kind of rise of religious nationalism, in which a section of a religion has determined itself to be a representative of that tradition. And we have that in India right now. We have it with the Christian right. In America, we have it in sections of Europe, in Myanmar, China, Tibet. We just saw a picture of President Putin doing a very orthodox ceremony of going into the water at Epiphany and praying in front of a cross. At the same time, we have had the Pussy Riots, and still that critique of their religion. And so we're never going to have a monolithic situation. And so the First Amendment, I believe our followers understood that complexity, that there can't be a national religion. There has to be this sort of individual group-oriented understanding. But then we still have the question of policy. And as we make our way up the pyramid, religion can be a way to secure your spot in the pyramid. And it allows our sort of tendency in religion to have moral authority and to say, well, this is the right way. And that allows this religious nationalism, which we saw even in the Capitol takeover or sedition, whatever the right term is, in which there were religious reasons given for the actions of people. And at the other hand, there are people saying that is not my expression of religiosity. So this complexity, I think, is really important for us to understand. And we are, I think, coming into an age where we have such globalization, and we are trying to adapt a religious nationalism that informs our policies. So, for example, abortion or family planning. So do we say that we can't give funds to a UN program that disallows family planning from a particular religious point of view? Religions have all different kinds of pro-choice perspectives. And so do we say that our abortion laws are only going to represent one interpretation of Christianity when Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism all allow for the choice of women in relation to? So I could really, my most important thing I want to leave you with is that this is a very complex question. And it's a global question right now, when we all kind of make our way into how do we decide what's ethical, what's moral, what is humanistic. And I think that what I really hope is that more institutions can be funded and we can participate in more institutions which allow us to sit down and have the kind of dialogue that we really need to have to sort this through as we move to a planet of what they say in 2050 is 10 billion people. And that is going to be a complex reality that we really need to learn how to embrace, to dialogue, to listen, to educate ourselves. Thank you.